Hey, boys and girls, and welcome to another session of Reading with Redden, where we are continuing to read our book Wonder by R.J. Palacio. Boys and girls, we're almost to the end. We only have a couple more days left, and I'm gonna let it stretch out over the next couple days because I really want you to think about the message of this story and think about what you're learning throughout this story. You see, when we started off, we met a little boy named Augie Pullman, and he started a brand new school for the very first time in his life. Augie has endured some challenges throughout the story, and throughout those challenges, he's learned from them. But he's also met a lot of good people throughout the story. So, as we continue on and read for the next couple of days, I want you to sit and think about what it is you've learned, what message you've gotten, and how you're going to be a change in this world that we live in. So, let's get started. The drop off. The graduation ceremony was held in the Beecher Prep Upper School Auditorium. It was only about a 15-minute walk from our house to the other campus building, but Dad drove me because I was all dressed up and had on a new shiny black shoes that were broken in yet, and I didn't want my feet to hurt. Students were supposed to arrive at the auditorium an hour before the ceremony started, but we got there even earlier, so we sat in the car and waited. Dad turned on the CD player and our favorite song came on. We both smiled and started bobbing our heads to the music. Dad sang along with the song. Andy would bicycle across the town in the rain to bring you candy. Hey, is my tie on straight? I said. He looked and straightened it a tiny bit as he kept on singing. And John would buy you the gown for you to wear to the prom. Does my hair look okay? I said. He smiled and nodded. Perfect, he said. You look great, Augie. Via put some gel in it this morning, I said, pulling down the sun visor and looking in the mirror. It looks too puffy. Does it? No, it's very cool, Augie. I don't think you've ever had it this short before. Have you? No, I got it cut yesterday. I think it makes me a little more grown up, don't you? Definitely, he was smiling, looking at me and nodding. But I'm the luckiest guy on the Lower East Side, 'cause I got my wheels. And you want to go for a ride? Look at you, Augie, he said, smiling from ear to ear. Look at you, looking so grown up and spiffy. I can't believe you're graduating from the 5th grade. I know, it's pretty awesome, right? I nodded. It feels like just yesterday when you started. Remember, I still had that Star Wars braid hanging from the back of my head? Oh my gosh, that's right, he said, rubbing his palms over his forehead. You hated that braid, didn't you, Dad? Hate is a strong word, but I definitely didn't love it. You hated it. Come on, admit it, I teased. No, I didn't hate it, he smiled, shaking his head. But I will admit to hating that astronaut helmet you used to wear. Do you remember? The one Miranda gave me? Of course I remember. I used to wear that thing all the time. Good God, I hated that thing, he laughed, almost more to himself. I was so bummed when it got lost, I said. Oh, it didn't get lost, he answered casually. I threw it out. Wait, what? I said. I honestly didn't think I heard him right. The day is beautiful and so are you, he was singing. Dad, I said, turning the volume down. What? He said. You threw it out? He finally looked at my face and saw how mad I was. I couldn't believe he was being so matter of fact about the whole thing. I mean, to me, this was a major revelation, and he was acting like it was no big deal. Augie, I couldn't stand seeing that thing cover your face anymore, he said clumsily. Dad, I love that helmet. It meant a lot to me. I was bummed beyond relief when it got lost. Don't you remember? Of course I remember, Augie, he said softly. Oh, Augie, don't be mad. I'm sorry. I just couldn't stand seeing you wear that thing on your head anymore. You know? I didn't think it was good for you. He was trying to look me in the eye, but I wouldn't look at him. Come on, Augie, please try to understand, he continued, putting his hand under my chin and tilting my face towards him. You were wearing that helmet all the time. And the real truth is, I miss seeing your face, Augie. I know you don't always love it, but you have to understand. I love it. I love this face of yours, Augie, completely and passionately. And it kind of broke my heart that you were always covering it up. He was squinting at me like he really wanted me to understand. Does Mom know? I said. He opened his eyes wide. No way! Are you kidding? She would have killed me. She tore the place apart looking for that helmet, Dad, I said. I mean, she spent like a week looking for it in every closet, in the laundry room, everywhere. I know, he said, nodding. That's why she'd kill me. And then he looked at me, and something about his expression made me start laughing, which made him open up his mouth wide like he just realized something. Wait a minute, Augie, he said, pointing his finger at me. You have to promise me you will never tell Mommy anything about this. I smiled and rubbed my palms together like I was about to get very greedy. Let's see, I said, stroking my chin. I'll be wanting a new Xbox when it comes out next month. And I'll definitely be wanting my own car in about 6 years. A red Porsche would be nice, and he started laughing. I love it when I'm the one who makes Dad laugh, since he's usually the funny man that gets everybody else laughing. Oh boy, he said, shaking his head. You really have grown up. The part of the song we love to sing the most started to play, and I turned up the volume. We started singing. I'm the ugliest guy on the Lower East Side, but I've got wheels and you want to go for a ride. 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 We always sing this last part at the top of our lungs, trying to hold that last note as long as the guy who sang the song, which always made us crack up. While we were laughing, we noticed Jack had arrived and was walking over to our car. I started to get out. Hold on, said Dad. I just want to make sure you've forgiven me, okay? Yes, I forgive you. He looked at me gratefully. Thank you. But don't ever throw anything else of mine out again without telling me. I promise. I opened the door and got out as Jack reached for the car. Hey, Jack, I said. Hey, Augie. Hey, Mr. Pullman, said Jack. How you doing, Jack, said Dad. See you later, Dad, I said, closing the door. Good luck, guys, Dad called out, rolling down the front window. See you on the other side of 5th grade. We waved as he turned on the ignition and tried to pull away, but then I ran over and he stopped the car. I put my head in the window so Jack wouldn't hear what I was saying. Can you guys not kiss me a lot after graduation? I asked quietly. It's kind of embarrassing. I'll try my best. Tell Mom too? I don't think she'll be able to resist, Augie, but I'll pass it along. Bye, dear old Dad, he smiled. Bye, my son, my son. Take your seats, everyone. Jack and I walked right behind a couple of 6th graders into the building and then followed them to the auditorium. Mrs. G was at the entrance, handing out the programs and telling kids where to go. 5th graders down to the aisle to the left, she said. 6th graders go to the right. Everyone come in, come in. Good morning. Go to your staging areas. 5th graders go to the left. 6th graders go to the right. The auditorium was huge inside. Big, sparkly chandeliers, red velvet walls, rows and rows and rows of cushioned seats leading up to the giant stage. We walked down the wild aisle and followed the signs to the 5th grade staging area, which was in the big room to the left of the stage. Inside were 4 rows of folding chairs facing the front of the room, which is where Mrs. Rubin was standing, waving us in as we all walked in the room. Okay, kids, take your seat. Take your seats, she was saying, pointing to the rows of chairs. Don't forget, you're sitting alphabetically. Come on, everybody, take your seats. Not too many kids had arrived yet, though, and the ones who had weren't listening to her. Me and Jack were sword fighting with our rolled up programs. Hey guys! It was Summer walking over to us. She was wearing a light pink dress and I think a little makeup. Wow, Summer, you look nice, I told her because she really did. Really? Thanks. You do too, Augie. Yeah, you look okay, Summer, said Jack, kind of matter of factly. And for the first time, I realized that Jack had a crush on her. This is so exciting, isn't it? Said Summer. Yeah, kind of, I answered, nodding. Oh man, look at this program, said Jack, scratching his forehead. We're going to be here all freaking day. I looked at my program. Headmaster's opening remarks, Dr. Harold Jansen. Middle school director's address, Mr. Lawrence Tushman. Light and Day, middle school choir. 5th grade commencement address, Zenamina Chen. Pachelbel Canon in D, middle school chamber music ensemble. 6th grade student commencement address, Mark Aniant. Under Pressure, middle school choir. Middle school dean's address, Miss Jennifer Rubin. Awards presentation, see back. Roll call of names. Why do you think that? I asked. Because Mr. Jansen's speeches go on forever, said Jack. He's even worse than Mr. Tushman. My mom said she actually dozed off when he spoke last year, Summer added. What's the awards presentation? I asked. That's where they give medals to the biggest brainiacs, Jack answered. Which would mean Charlotte and Zenamina will win everything in the 5th grade, just like Charlotte won everything in 4th grade and in the 3rd grade. Not in the 2nd grade? I asked. They didn't give those awards out in the 2nd grade, he answered. Maybe you'll win this year, I joked. Not unless they give awards for the most C's, he laughed. Everybody take your seats. Mrs. Rubin started yelling louder, now like she was getting annoyed that nobody was listening. We have a lot to go through, so take your seats. Don't forget you're sitting in alphabetical order. A through G is the first row, H through N is the 2nd row, O through Q is the 3rd row, R through Z is the last row. Let's go, people. We should go sit down, said Summer, walking towards the front section. You guys are definitely coming over my house after this, right? I called out after her. Definitely, she said, taking her seat next to Zenamina Chen. When did summer get so hot? Jack muttered in my ear. Shut up, dude, I said, laughing as we headed back to the 3rd row. Seriously, when did that happen? He whispered, taking the seat next to mine. Mr. Will, Miss Rubin shouted. Last time I checked, W came between R and Z, yes? Jack looked at her blankly. Dude, you're in the wrong row, I said. I am? And the face he made as he got up to leave, which was a mixture of looking completely confused and looking like he just played a joke on someone, totally cracked me up. A simple thing. About an hour later, we were all seated in the giant auditorium, waiting for Mr. Tushman to give his middle school address. The auditorium was even bigger than I imagined it to be. Bigger even than the one at Via's school. I looked around and there must have been 1 million people in the audience. Okay, maybe not 1 million, but definitely a lot. Thank you, Headmaster Jansen, for those kind words of introduction, said Mr. Tushman, standing behind the podium on the stage as he talked into the microphone. Welcome, my fellow teachers, and welcome, members of the faculty. Welcome, parents and grandparents, friends and honored guests, and most especially, welcome my 5th grade and 6th grade students. Welcome to the Beecher Prep Middle School graduation ceremonies. Everyone applauded. Every year, continued Mr. Tushman, reading from his notes, with his reading glasses way down to the tip of his nose, I am charged with writing 2 commencement addresses, one for the 5th and 6th grade graduation ceremony today, and one for the 7th and 8th grade graduation ceremony that will take place tomorrow. And every year I say to myself, let me cut down on my work and write just one address that I can use for both ceremonies. Seems like it shouldn't be such a hard thing to do, right? And yet, each year, I still end up with 2 different speeches, no matter what my intentions, and I finally figured out this year. It's not, as you might assume, simply because tomorrow I'll be taking on an older crowd with a middle school experience that is largely behind them, whereas your middle school experiences are largely in front of you. No, I think it has more to do with particular age that you are right now. This particular moment in your lives that, even after 20 years of my being around students this age, still moves me. Because you're at the cusp, kids. You're at the edge between childhood and everything that comes after. You're in transition. We're all gathered here together, Mr. Tushman continued, taking off his glasses and using them to point at all of us in the audience, all your family, friends, and teachers, to celebrate not only your achievements of this past year, Beecher middle schoolers, but your endless possibilities. When you reflect on this past year, I want you all to look at where you are now and what you've been. You've all gotten a little taller, a little stronger, a little smarter, I hope. Here some of the people in the audience chuckled. But the best way to measure how much you've grown isn't by inches or the number of laps you can now run around the track, or even your grade point average. Though these things are important to be sure. It's what you've done with your time, how you've chosen to spend your days, and whom you have touched this year. That, to me, is the greatest measure of success. There's a wonderful line in a book by J.M. Barrie, and no, it's not Peter Pan. And I'm not going to ask you to clap if you believe in fairies. Here, everyone laughed again. But in another book by J.M. Barrie called The Little White Bird, he writes, he started flipping through a small book on the podium until he found the page he was looking for, and then he put on his reading glasses. Shall we make a new rule of life? Always try to be a little kinder than is necessary. Here, Mr. Tushman looked up at the audience. Kinder than is necessary, he repeated. What a marvelous line, isn't it? Kinder than is necessary. Because it's not enough to be kind. One should be kinder than needed. Why I love that line, that concept, is that it reminds me that we carry with us as human beings not just the capacity to be kind, but the very choice of kindness. And what does that mean? How is that measured? You can't use a yardstick. It's like I was saying just before. It's not like measuring how much you've grown in a year. It's not exactly quantifiable, is it? How do we know we've been kind? What is being kind anyway? He put on his reading glasses again and started flipping through another small book. There's another passage in a different book I'd like to share with you, he said. If you'll bear with me a while, I can find it. Ah, here we go. In Under the Eye of the Clock by Christopher Nolan, the main character is a young man who is facing some extraordinary challenges. There's this one part where someone helps him, a kid in his class. On the surface, it's a small gesture, but to this young man, whose name is Joseph, it's, well, if you'll permit me. He cleared his throat and read from the book. It was at moments such as these that Joseph recognized the face of God in human form. It glittered in their kindness to him. It showed in their keenness. It hinted in their caring. Indeed, it caressed in their gaze. He paused and took off his reading glasses again. It glimmered in their kindness to him, he repeated, smiling. Such a simple thing. Kindness. Such a simple thing. A nice word of encouragement given when needed. An act of friendship. A passing smile. He closed the book, put it down, and leaned forward on the podium. Children, what I want to impart to you today is an understanding of the value of that simple thing called kindness. And that's all I want to leave you with today. I know I'm kind of infamous for my verbosity. Here, everybody laughed again. I guess he knew he was known for his long speeches. But what I want you, my students, to take away from your middle school experience, he continued, is the sure knowledge that in the future you make for yourselves, anything is possible. If every person in this room made it a rule that wherever you are, wherever you can, you will try to act a little kinder than is necessary, the world really would be a better place. And if you do this, if you act just a little kinder than is necessary, someone else, somewhere, someday may recognize in you, in every single one of you, the face of God. He paused and shrugged. Or whatever politically correct spiritual representation of universal goodness you happen to believe in, he added quickly, smiling, which got a lot of laughs and loads of applause, especially from the back of the auditorium where the parents were sitting. So, boys and girls, I'm going to leave you with that today because I think what Mr. Tushman just said in this story is very powerful. Again, like I said, we're almost to the end of the story. So I hope as we continue to read and as we finish up, you're learning a little message. I want to go back and read part of this story again to you. And I want you to think about these things until the next time we read again. But I want you to let it resonate. Think about it. Think about what things you can do to be a little bit more kind. So I'm going to read to you one more time. Kinder than is necessary. What a marvelous line, isn't it? Kinder than is necessary. Because it's not enough to be kind. One should be kinder than needed. Why I love that line, that concept, is that it reminds me that we carry in us as human beings not just the capacity to be kind, but the very choice of kindness. And what does that mean? How is that measured? You can't use a yardstick. It's like I was just saying not before. It's not like measuring how much you've grown in a year. It's not exactly quantifiable, is it? How do we know we've been kind? What is being kind anyway? So, as you sit and think about that, a question I've been asking you a lot is, how can you spread kindness? What can you do to spread kindness to someone? I want everyone in this world to be a little bit more kinder. And like the book says, kinder than necessary. So what is necessary? I want you to be a little bit more kind than that. And until the next time on another session of Reading with Redden, spread kindness and I'll see you soon. Have a great night.